Hey guys, and welcome back to ZILT. I had this amazing episode planned for this week, but I had so many questions in building in the harbor, so I'm gonna build a new harbor. So as you guys have seen in the trailer, I actually had a pretty great harbor. I was actually quite pleased with it, but I didn't film it, so I'll just redo it for video and I'll make it a little bit different to make it interesting for myself. Also, this map is one tile, so I could use the extra space building it a little bit more towards the side of this one tile. So, in the middle of the screen, you'll see the asset which is called a micro ferry terminal. It's the one with the two arrows and the crosswalks. It's basically a vanilla harbor scaled down, so it's easier to hide. Because I have some demands, I just waited until a ferry would come in, and I would pause the game when it was dead in the water. The ferries will stay for a really short time, so you have to time it quite well. After I knew where the ferry would moor, I could add the docks. So now I'm just filling up the space where the ferry would arrive, and I'll start building some kind of a terminal building. I wanted to add a tram line near the ferry dock, because I noticed more ferries would arrive with some kind of public transport near them. So I'm not sure if that's the way the game works, but it's just something I noticed on my map, so don't pin me on it. This ferry terminal building I built was... I wasn't sure what I wanted, but I had to make something which could be added straight onto the street sides, because the micro ferry asset is quite near the road, which isn't perfect, but you have to think of something. And I started building this, and I don't know, I just liked how it looked, and I started improvising, and it turned out, for me, quite great. It is. It looks like a train station. It looks like it is from the 1920s, 30s, so no, I enjoyed it. After this, I just started working on the road layout and adding cobblestone details, because back in those days, not every road was paved. I'm not even sure if the roads were already paved with anything like asphalt or something. I guess they were concrete or cobblestone. So, anyways, next up is the freight terminal. I'll use this really pretty asset, which is a big warehouse, which you would see a lot in the Netherlands back in the 30s and 40s, and even some today. There was no container shipping or anything. It was all goods and crates and I think it's called bulk. So loose pieces of freight. The big warehouses were straight on the water side, and I thought this building was perfect for it. I'm gonna add a crane later. I just first added some wooden dock sides with poles. These would be typical. Also notice on the old images, a lot of trains and tracks would be everywhere around harbors. Makes sense, because trucks were quite new and trains were already there, of course, to move bigger freight. So I loved how this little tram line I added, the steam tram, how this goes around the harbor side. And maybe it's not really realistic, but I just think it's very cute. Now I'll add some cargo bays for maybe like a freight tram to stop. I should maybe build something like that. And later on I'll add a crane, because there would be cranes on wheels on the harbor side, but also sometimes it would be on like this overhead rail, which I thought looked really cool, so I thought I'll try to recreate that. I am taking a long time to finish up this docks, actually. I think you guys just have to bear with me for a second. You already see a lot of passengers arriving. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the metal framework which I used, and I put it right on the side of the harbor. It was a little bit fiddling around with PO. I use so much PO in this whole build. I think pretty much everything is PO'd. Oh yeah, here's the crane. For CS2 I should build a new crane. This crane is so overused by everyone. And here I put it up on the rails. I'm gonna add some larger steel beams by Beard Monkey, which assets will be missed in the next Cities Skylines. Add some ladders and some walkways for the people who work on the cranes. I guess you need to get in there somewhere. And then I'll add a PO module so the crane would actually move back and forth. Oh yeah, now I'm just starting to add more details, more cobblestones, and yeah, make it a little bit more nicer and detailed. Funny enough, we're already nearing the end of this episode. I just kept it short because it's basically a tutorial episode. So here I'm adding some decals, and you see I already put the grass down, and here's the result. It actually worked out pretty nice. But before we end, normally this would be the end, nice video and we'll stop, but I'll guess I'll treat you guys for a little bit more time lapses of what I'm actually building now, because you all notice I'm building on an island right now. I'm no longer building on a map we already worked on. Basically on every ZILT episode so far I changed maps. But this is the one I'm gonna finish with, because it's an island, I have to finish it before CS2 comes out. And it's the same map Canadian Moose is working on. I sent him the save game as well. So it's gonna be nice to see how it all ends up looking when we both finished up this Dutch island. So here's an overview. On the top side you'll see the docks, and the small island on the left corner is also within the map. So the area in between you can reclaim for more agricultural lands or any other means, probably an airport. On the top side there are some dunes, and here's a small walled city. I already started working on the city center off camera. I knew I would change a lot of stuff when I would work on such a small old town. For example, the city square. I think I changed it 4 times now. I ended up with this beautiful custom church, which is bigger than any building on the island, and I love it. So from a distance you'll always see the big church tower above everything else. And I'll promise I'll upload it to the workshop soon. But if you want early access to any of my assets, just join us on Patreon, where I try to release an asset a week. For now we're gonna wrap up this episode. If you guys have any inspiration or ideas which I should add to the city, please leave them in the comments. It's just like the questions about the harbor. If people want to know how I built something or specific ideas which I should build, just leave them in the comments and I might try to build it actually, because I think it's really fun to build other people's idea. Anyways, this has been it for now. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you all for watching and sticking around. Till next time, this was Jass. Bye.